Hey, what's going on? Peter Amato here with a special exclusive interview, Why Eagles Why? And we have a special guest here with us, Johnny Avello. He is the Director of Race and Sports Operations at DraftKings. Also, we have, her from Why Eagles Why episodes, Katie Kohler from Play PA.
Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Katie, so why don't you just give us a kind of rundown of what we're doing here with Johnny and what we're going to talk about?
Sure. So we're really approaching the middle point of the NFL season. So obviously we want to ask Johnny what teams have been surprising for him. I know that I have been doing more live in-game betting than ever before. Have other bettors. Also, we have to talk about the Eagles. And I have to ask Johnny about the NFC East, and I hate to ask him this question. And since he's behind a camera and he's safe and sound, he can answer the dreaded question: are the Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl contenders?
They certainly look like a Super Bowl contender, and Katie, you mentioned that NFC East. Last year a team was struggling to get 6 wins there to win that, that division. But this year is a different case. The Cowboys were the favorite last year, didn't have a great year. Certainly Dak was out. And this year it seems like they're putting everything together. Now, as far as a Super Bowl contender, I always look for a team that has balance in everything they do. And the Cowboys certainly have, part of that balance is in the passing game. Terrific so far. Defense has been pretty solid. It's the running game, though, is a concern. I just don't think they're getting the production at Elliott that they should be getting. And if they were, they'd even be that much better. So that's the concern for me. But, since it looks like this NFC is going to be a cakewalk for the Cowboys, you certainly have to call them a contender.
Ooh, a cakewalk. We're coming up on really the halfway point of a longer season. And I remember talking to you last year, you went into it with no preseason. So you're like, we're really not getting a look at the teams. We're going right into it. As we approach week 7, week 8, is there what has the house learned? What is something that has stood out to you this season in terms of the games?
I can tell you what we learned this past weekend, that the players are pretty good. The bettors, they had a really solid week. Well, let's look at a couple of teams. You mentioned the Cowboys, great against the spread so far, haven't failed once. Arizona certainly is a surprise, starting off the season with not a loss. So we're seeing some teams that are coming out of the gate fast and have been good for the bettors, and some teams that haven't done so well out of the gate. And the New York Giants are certainly struggling, and Jacksonville just got their first win. The Lions still don't have a win. So bettors key on those type of situations, and us bookmakers have to adjust to those.
Talk about during the week, there's just tons of information out there in terms of betting information, Twitter, tons of information about the teams, the players, and then live betting. DraftKings has really a lot of markets in game, and now you have these flash props coming up. Can you describe I know you can't give us any numbers, but what has the in-game action been this NFL season?
Well, that's the growth of the business, is in-game wagering. In-game wagering has really taken off. It's been in existence for a while, but, at a really small scale. But it has really gone to leaps and bounds over the last 3-4 years. And we're seeing growth in that. And as you mentioned, one of the reasons for the growth is that it's a fun way to bet. Sometimes you don't like what the spread is or what a line might be at the beginning of the game, and you hope to find something better during the game. And if you're disciplined, you don't find it, you don't bet. You wait for another game and try to find it. And the options that we have up there for in-game, so many different ways to bet it now. If you're betting baseball, will the batter next pitch, will the batter get on? How will he get on? So there's just so many more options now to play for in-game.
So the show is called Why Eagles Why, and despite the team being 2-4, we have to talk. We're contractually obligated, like Ben Simmons, to be here and to talk about the Eagles. The team, boy, do they love to pass the ball a lot. When a team isn't performing great, do you see bettors in the state of Pennsylvania tend to bet on other teams and like abandon the Eagles, or are they still interested in the home team?
No, they're still interested. I mean, they're not horrible. Some of the New York fans are kind of backing away from the Giants a little bit, but no, the Eagles are still somewhat formidable, so they're still getting their share of action. But when bettors first have wagering in their jurisdiction, they tend to bet their home team and the team that they know best. But they learn quickly that if a team's not making money for me, and I'm just kind of tossing my money away every week betting someone that where it seems to be a losing proposition, they're gonna go somewhere else. And state of Pennsylvania, the state of New Jersey, they've been doing this for a while. So I think the bettors there have learned that and picked their spots with the home team.
So, with you saying that, I can relate. Betting on the Eagles hasn't been so. Betting even on Eagles games, whether it's money line, over under, hasn't really been as lucrative to me as other bets. So I usually try to stick to more around the league bets. I actually interviewed Brian Westbrook about a week ago, and I talked to him about that, and basically said, yeah, I usually try to stay away from the Eagles games because I feel like when you're betting on the game of your home team, I feel like you got a little bit of more like a hopeful bets instead of like you're betting with your heart, more with your head. So I definitely can relate to that. Piggybacking off of Katie's question, when bettors in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, or actually any city, bet on their hometown team, do they tend to stick with like money line or spread, or do you see them kind of moving over to some of the prop bets or some of the player prop, team props, stuff like that?
The point spread has always been the most popular choice for betting.
Mm-hmm.
The money line has certainly picked up a tick this year. I noticed a lot of games with more money line action than I've seen in the past. But the props, first touchdown score,
Mm-hmm.
Total number of touchdowns by the quarterback, rushing yards by the the rusher, the passing attempts, passing completion, all of that stuff has gone to new heights now. And, let's go back and talk about the, Super Bowls of the past. Everybody talked about those Super Bowl props that Vegas used to put out. Well, we put those out on a daily basis on every single game.
Mm-hmm.
So, prop betting now has gone in definitely a new direction.
Yeah, for sure.
Johnny, Pete, and I are headed to Las Vegas this weekend, and we are going to enjoy an Eagles weekend in Las Vegas. And Pete's headed to the game, and I'm headed to the Circus Sportsbook. And there's really no fan road trip quite like Las Vegas, I believe. This is really the first time that fans are allowed at Allegiant Stadium. And you being a lifelong Vegas guy, Can you kind of talk about what it's been like having an NFL team in Vegas from a bookmaker's perspective and what it does to really bring fans that like it's an experience coming to Vegas, and then there's an NFL weekend with an actual game there.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you and Pete, Katie, come to town this weekend, and you guys are going to have a blast. That's for sure. It's going to be nice weather, and of course, you mentioned, now we have a NFL team. We also have a hockey team, and I knew that based on what I saw from that hockey team, that this NFL team would also be embraced, and they have been. Now, this is our second year. Remember, the first year, the fans weren't able to attend the games because of the COVID protocol. And so they played at home with no fans in the stands. But now I went to opening game 1, and I can tell you that the fans are just nuts about this team. And Raider fans are different themselves. I mean, I saw animated figures and people wearing costumes of figures I've never seen before in my entire life. So you're going to get an experience there like no other. The Bears fans were in a couple weeks ago. They had a great experience. They came away with the W. That always helps. But I think you guys are going to have just a blast there.
Yeah, I think you'll be surprised how much green you do see this weekend. Whether we're 0-4 or 4-0, it doesn't matter. That's one thing about the Philadelphia teams. They travel. The fans travel very well. And this being the first time in Vegas with the new stadium, Vegas atmosphere, I think we're gonna light up the streets green, light up the strip green. Actually,
yes. They look like a green light everywhere, huh?
Yeah.
I know when the schedule came out in May, a lot of fans immediately started booking their trip to Vegas. And as the schedule comes out next year, other fans are gonna, how is this a bucket list item coming to Vegas to see your team play? How would you really recommend it? Is it something that you definitely think is worth doing?
It's hard to say about the bucket list because usually bucket lists are something that's kind of been around for a while. And so this is kind of new. But I think eventually, yes, that might be the case. Now, remember, Vegas is something that's, frequented by many, many people multiple times a year. Now that we have a football team, that just an added attraction for people to come here. So I think so. From my experience at the stadium, it was just overwhelming. Now, I know Pete mentioned there's going to be a lot of green. The game I went to was the Ravens game, and it seemed like there were only 8 Ravens shirts in the entire stadium. But hopefully it'll be more Philly support this weekend. So yeah, I think eventually that may become a bucket list item. And those tickets they're more difficult to get to than I thought they would be.
Yeah. Do you have any dinner recommendations for us?
Oh, I always have places to go. First of all, there's the old school tradition Italian American club. Been in town since Frank Sinatra and Tony Bennett and all those guys used to go there. That's certainly worth going to. Not only is the food great, but who knows who's going to show up and start singing on stage, while you're enjoying your meal. I like some local places like Table 34 is good. There's always Piero's, an old time favorite Italian. And then there's some bars in town that for Eagles fans, there's places to go. There's Pop's Philly Steak, and there's a place called Straight from Philly. So there's a lot of, if you want to hang out with Philly people, you'll have those choices also.
So as far as like sports bettors taking the trip from New Jersey and Pennsylvania, we know it's a little different far as like the online betting and mobile betting, it's a lot different in Vegas. If you could briefly run through the biggest differences and if they don't have certain things available now, what do they see? What does DraftKings especially see them doing in the future with mobile sports betting?
Well, we don't have a presence for betting in Las Vegas yet. DraftKings doesn't. We're working on it, and we hope to be there, very soon. But in the meantime, this is what I would tell the fans to do. Bet the game on your app before you go to Vegas. And then when you do get to Vegas, we're going to have the free pools. They're still available for people to bet, so you can go and play those on our site. And if you elect to do neither one of those two, there are some other options for people, certainly. The one difference in Vegas that's different than where DraftKings is most jurisdictions is that you actually have to go into a bricks and mortar location to sign up for an app. And then you have to go back to that location to deposit money and withdraw money. So my advice is to make your wager before you get here.
That's interesting. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it's not a big deal to go into the brick and mortar. They're all right there on the strip or downtown. So it's not as big a deal as it would be in other.
Being a Vegas guy, Pete, being a Vegas guy can tell you that there's some great options here. There's some great places to go.
So New Jersey just hit $1 billion in sports betting handle. How big of a part do you think football bettors played a role in that $1 billion?
Jersey's been knocking on the door on that $1 billion handle for a few months. And now they did get there. And once they get there, there's probably no going back. So you can probably become the norm during football season. And you mentioned football. Football is up this year. Certainly for us, we're in more jurisdictions, but it's up even in the states where sports gambling was already legal. So, football is a great sport, whether it's pro or college. And I think with all the different offerings and all the different ways to bet it, that's one of the reasons for the growth. So let's keep this ball rolling, guys. Yeah,
is that the most bet sport as far as in the United States? Is that the most bet sport on DraftKings?
It is. Remember, football only takes place on weekends.
Yeah.
Now, when I say that, of course, there's Monday Night Football and there are some Thursday night games, but it's not like basketball where that goes on for months and every night of the week. So, but on for its season only, football's pretty much rules.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank Katie and Johnny for taking the time to meet with us. We will we'll share our experiences when we get to Vegas. I'm sure you'll see some videos and articles. We'll be at Play Pennsylvania and Eagles.com. Again, thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Katie. And we'll talk soon.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Have a fun weekend in town.